All right, guys, welcome back to the Sex and Bacon podcast. On today's episode, I have with me the lovely Shay Moore. Shay, I will give you the floor and let you kind of introduce yourself and let everybody know what it is that you do. And then we're just going to dive into some open, free conversations around a few different things.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Shay Moore. Full name is Shantanique Moore, but like I tell my clients, unless you're feeling spicy, that's when you can use my full name and I know what kind of session we're going to have. But Shay is perfectly fine. I am a licensed marriage and family counselor and didn't think I would get there because if my relationship's not perfect, why did I think I could talk about other people's relationships? Absolutely love it though.
Okay, that's you know what, even you saying that, that's a thing because people will always say that is like, why are you taking advice from somebody that doesn't have the relationship you want? Right? Or
Yes.
things like that. So that's a real thing. So then I'm going to ask you, like, are you in a relationship? Are you married? What is your relationship kind of status in that regard?
Well, now, because when I was studying, no, I wasn't.
Okay.
But now, yes, I actually am in a relationship going on 5 years next month.
So it was one of those things where it's like you kind of thought to yourself, how am I going to teach people to do something that I haven't been able to master myself?
Exactly. It was weird. Love life was looking crazy, was in shambles even when I started my program. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in no condition to be talking about it, but I love the subject so much. So,
Right. And it seems to be like the one topic that everybody always wants to talk about. And most people seem to really have like more struggles in that area than in any other area of their life. So let's talk about that for a minute because I know I want to really dive into just the importance of like women relationships, but let's talk
yeah.
about that in general of just why is dating, why is marriage, why is having a successful, healthy relationship such a fucking struggle? Like,
I
emphasize on the fucking struggle.
yes, emphasize on that because fucking
Yes.
is right. It's just fucking ridiculous. And that's because we can't control anybody. That we
Fair.
can't control their reactions, how they react to us, or read our minds.
Yeah.
It's so much easier in your head to fantasize the perfect relationship, like, oh, he or she would do this. And then you get in front of your face the complete opposite of what you thought you were into, and
Yeah.
they don't do everything or read your name, like read your mind. Like it's just now.
Yeah, like I watch a lot of rom-coms and I'm obsessed with like romantic movies and I legit in my mind I'm like that is going to be my ideal perfect relationship and like it doesn't happen. It obviously so far from it. I'm single and I've been married.
Hmm.
Same thing. Nothing about that was what I envisioned in my mind and what I grew up kind of seeing. And I did grow up in a little bit more of like a religious family per se. Lots of aunts and uncles, married life, that whole get married really young, farm family, white picket fence,
Yeah.
have your children, all of this. But like my experience has been everything but that. And don't get me wrong, I know if we dive deep, we could go back into, how trauma and
Of
things and
course.
all of this plays such an impact on a person's, I guess I want to say their ability to move in relationship kind of in a healthy way. And
Yeah.
I mean, all those things. But on the surface level of it, it just seems like people are struggling these days and it's a battle and it's a challenge. And I don't know if I think the online space has made it better. I think it's made it worse. I think people have this whole the grass is greener on the other side,
Yes.
the mentality of that, right? But like, what is going on and how the hell do we actually fix it? And like, as a woman, what is it that we can actually do to try to, at least show up how we want our person to show up?
Yeah, and crazy enough, as I feel like so cliche as it is, it's really us starting with showing up for ourselves first,
Mhm.
like what our support system looks like, where our mindset's at, because I am a firm believer you attract what you believe.
Okay.
So if you believe that nothing ever works out for you, this is going to go wrong, already just anticipating the worst, it's always going to be the worst. I 100% believe that if you're not in the right mindset for it, you're just going to keep like getting almost Mr. Perfect, but something about him is always a major red flag that you're going to be like, well, no, it's okay. Everything else is great. I was like, that pretty much was all of like, probably like, because probably before I met my current boyfriend, I was single for about like 7 years after like
Okay.
my last relationship. I was like, yeah, this is not it. I'm just going with the flow here sometimes. I'm overly anxious. I'm overly avoidant. It was flipping and flopping to wherever my self-esteem or self-worth was at. And it's like the
Right.
guys I was picking were reflecting that. And I didn't notice it at the time. And I was like, why is it such a struggle to love? Isn't it supposed to be easy? Are we supposed to just like
Yeah.
each other and go off into the sunset somewhere? Why are we not
Right.
sunsetting?
Yeah. Why aren't the men leading? like that whole old school,
Yes.
like pursue me. And like that's the thing where it's just like I get like it's I think it's so confusing because you have so many women who are like, no, no, I'm traditional. That man better be pursuing me. He better be
Yes.
leading, showing me how this relationship is going to look, what we're going to do, making the plans, being decisive. And then you got some women that are like, I don't need a man making all my choices for me. If I want to reach out to him, I'm going to reach out to him. If I want to do
Yes.
this, I'm going to do this. Why am I waiting for this? And it's just like I feel like nobody really knows what they're supposed to do anymore.
Nope.
And it's confusing. And I'm like, okay, well, if I'm acting in just like my true nature of like who I am, why can't I just message somebody and ask them to hang out? Like,
Yes,
no,
exactly.
man needs to want to chase you. You can't be available. It's just like, okay, cool. So like, you don't know what to do anymore, right?
Yeah, yeah. You don't know. It's too many rules, too many unspoken rules on top of
Yeah,
that. Because I'm like, I was like, where'd you hear it from? It's always like you heard it from. You didn't really read it anywhere. Everybody's just
yeah,
telling you don't be available. But it's true. When you're just yourself, you attract those who don't feel confident. They feel intimidated or whatever, and they just kind of go away. And it's wonderful. They weed themselves out. And instead
totally.
of being like, oh, it's me, I'm the problem. No, it clearly wasn't going to work because if you don't like when I'm, fully in my, I got this together, that like there's a time where I need you and the time I don't need you. I shouldn't have to feel like I need you all the time. I feel like we need
Yeah.
some kind of balance of both. Like, yeah, I want to get what I want, but then sometimes maybe I do want you to go get that thing out of the fridge for me. I know I could do it, but it would be nice if you just did it.
So do you feel that the men are just as confused as the women now?
Yeah. They,
Yeah.
they, they don't know either.
Yeah.
Because they're sitting here, I feel like most of my couples are that way anyways. They're just like, I don't know what she wants. I can't read her mind. I can't make her happy. I don't get it. So I just kind of shut down and it's whatever. Or
Right.
it's like, well, she's right. Everything she says is right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not working for y'all clearly. So she's not always right.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
that that's the thing is that communication is just like people stop communicating. There's a breakdown. Nobody wants to
Mhm.
ask anymore what they want or speak
Yes.
up, right? That
Yeah.
is the
Nobody.
hardest thing to do. And like, here's the thing. And I feel like I'm speaking for a lot of like the independent, hyper independent women out there, the
Yes.
single moms, the ones
Yeah.
who have been doing it all, have always had to do it all. We figure everything out on our own. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, to have to step into a space of being vulnerable and telling a
Yep.
man what it is that we need, what it is that we want, what something they may have said or done has hurt our feelings or didn't make us feel very good is really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
it's just like, I'm showing you this weak side of me. And if I show you this weak side of me, are you still going to want me? But yet, that's that whole feminine masculine balance where the woman is
Yep.
supposed to be able to do that, right? But when you've
Yes.
had to do it all for so long, it's just like we don't really know how to do that without wanting to like crawl into our skin and like die.
Exactly. It's a cringe
Yeah,
experience because also it's like I have to learn to trust you and I'm afraid to trust you because so many others have proven me right. They're unreliable. I can't they can't they're never there for me. They don't show when I need them. Like you mentioned like a single mother. I'm raised by a single mother. So I'm kind of
mhm,
like, yeah, I've seen that where a tribe is there at one point and then your community's gone the next. It's
yeah,
like when and it does go into friendships and whatnot. It's almost like when you're in a different phase than your friends, some of them just kind of fall back because they're not in the same space to make those same commitments, or some people might see them as sacrifices.
totally.
So you start to feel isolated.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I like that you brought up the friends. Let's talk about that for a minute because I think all of us women have a solid group of friends that are around us. They're there in the space in the sense of supporting us when we're at our low moments, supporting us when we're going through a breakup. However, sometimes I feel like the dynamic and the conversation can be kind of tricky to navigate with your friends because they see us in a different light and they
Yeah.
want obviously the best for us, but when you're kind of talking to them about somebody you're dating and you're telling them something that like maybe they're doing right away, they're like, no, kick him to the curb. Fuck that guy. No, he's a loser. No, you don't need that shit.
Yep.
Right. So it's like they're like, no, done, out of here. Next one. Where it's like we're trying to navigate this in a healthy way. Right. So it's just like they're your cheerleaders, but sometimes that like
Right.
dynamic of are you giving me the advice that's best for like trying to create a healthy relationship, or are you giving
Yeah.
me that like advice that is just like you just love me to pieces and you think everybody's a piece of shit because you know I've been hurt before, so before
I
this one's going to hurt you, get rid of them,
Yep. And it's
right?
crazy because I have best friends on all those different sides. That's like, let's give it a go or open up your heart. And then I have another best friend that's like, nope, he messed up. He crossed the line. Dump him. Instantly, the
Yeah.
first one. He did what? Nope,
Yeah.
dump him. Let him
Yeah.
go. So it was always interesting having those two sides. And I'm like, do I? Do I not? It is confusing because you do trust your friends because it's like, well, you know me best. So if
Yeah.
I'm not seeing something, maybe because I'm in Delulu land and hoping that this is my rom com, maybe you see something I don't, but then also that deeper conversation, because the best friend that I do have that's like, nah, dump him right away. Me and her have deep conversations where she realizes where she's at personally, that she's
Mhm.
like, well, I know I close off fast because if you can hurt me at that capacity at this early stage, no, there's no word, we shouldn't even continue. Why?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so how do we navigate that as women? How do we navigate figuring out what the difference of somebody who's really seeing something that we're not
Mm-hmm.
versus the friend that just 100% does not have the capacity to see us get hurt again, but they're
Yeah.
maybe not quite, maybe have gone through enough of growth to really be
Mhm.
able to be kind of Switzerland or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about a few of those things. So,
Ooh.
what does that look like? The person who is just like, no, everybody's bad for you, get rid of them, those kind of things, like the little stuff, right? Like, okay, so for instance, it's like, say it's like if somebody came into you and they're like, hey, you know what? I met this guy. He's great. We've gone out 2 or 3 times, but the last couple weeks, it just seems like his communication has kind of gotten a little bit like
Yeah.
more distant. It used to be like more pages of information. Now I'm kind of getting shorter sentences. Our friends, and I have my girlfriends that are like, no, something changed. He's talking to another woman. That would be their first thing that they would say.
Yep.
No, if he's changed the way he's communicating with you, it's because there's another woman there. As a therapist, what would you say that really more could be? So, like, because let's be honest, heavy, deep conversation through text message, yeah, I think everybody gets excited. They do it early on in the beginning, but that's not
Yeah.
sustainable. So,
No.
where is that of the reality versus the friend that's just like, no, like he's done, he's talking to somebody else?
I would say maybe there is truth to that, maybe there's not. Because it
Mhm.
really just depends on what stage you and that person are at. Did we say we were exclusively talking to each other? If not, then if we didn't establish that early on, then yeah, that possibly is it. But it's also just like, well, like you mentioned, who's trying to have very deep conversations on a daily basis? It's emotionally exhausting. As
Mhm.
exciting it is to talk to a new person, like that's exhausting if it feels like I can only talk about deep things with her. She doesn't want to talk about lighter stuff or like talk about our favorite snacks and why it is and some fun memories.
Yeah.
I would just tell a person like, okay, maybe depending on the exclusive, whatnot. If we are exclusive and we said we were, have you just reached out and asked him? Because that
Right.
at this point we can only just guess. If he is talking to a girl, you might as well find out now.
Right.
And if he's not, at least now you get to ask him what's going on, and he could tell you, "Oh, I just prefer that we talk on the phone more." But I also am biased because I'm also just like at this point, why aren't you guys going out on dates anyways for more
Right.
in person connections? And why are we still in the talking stage? Like I
Right.
always feel like I have to analyze that a bit more before I'm like, yeah, dump him. I'm like, yeah, that might be down the maybe she has some truth there, but it is like, well, why are we just here still? Why are you still talking?
Mhm.
Why didn't he ask you out yet? Because truth is true that it's interest. But some guys don't want to play cat and mouse for too long.
Right. That's fair. So, really, in my opinion, I do feel like the men, there should be like within a week of like matching, talking. It's just like
Yeah.
we're meeting in person
Yeah.
versus being pen pals online,
Yes.
right? Let's
Hmm.
see if we like connect. Let's see if we connect in person and then kind of like build from there, right?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I'm just like after a while, it's just why are we not talking about going out
Right.
and what's going on here? Because now you're thinking instead of you just addressing it, then we become insecure. Like maybe it's us, maybe I'm boring, maybe I'm not interesting
Mhm.
enough, maybe he doesn't want anything to do with me. And now we're just in our own heads. And then of course your friends see that and they're like, no, stop talking to him, block him, forget it. You're wonderful. It's him.
Right. And I think like we're always so quick to judge and think it's them,
Mm,
right? As women and as our friends,
of course,
It
yeah.
it's just like, no, he's the issue, you gotta like, versus a friend kind of being like, "Hey, have you communicated to him in a way that allows him to fully understand what it is that you're looking for without
Yeah.
he has to read between the lines and he has to guess this. You
Yeah,
know,
yes.
like I'll admit it, as women, we don't necessarily always do the greatest job of
Yeah.
being very clear on what it is that we're wanting or what
Yeah.
answer we were looking for when we've asked a question. And then it's like if a man's not picking up on it, then it's just like, no, he's an idiot. Of course he should get that. But it's like that's a girl's opinion. It's like, yeah, because you tell me you
Exactly.
know what I'm asking, but he doesn't understand clearly, right?
Yeah.
But again, back to that like communication breakdown, right?
It is. It's the communication breakdown. And just even if you feel uncomfortable with your friend's advice and you're not feeling the same,
Mhm.
honestly, depending on your friendship or whatnot, you should be able to bring that up to your friend. That, I hear what you're saying and I know you want to protect me, but like, I don't feel the same way. I still want to pursue this.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
not looking for a way out. I just wanted to vent a little bit, but I still want to continue. I want to know like what else is going on here possibly before even playing around with the idea of blocking
Yeah.
her.
Okay, so let's talk more about then just in general the mental health aspect of those relationships for women to have in their life, especially when going through, I want to say, the more extremes of divorce, a breakup, right? Because you obviously deal with a lot of that in your practice. So, what does that kind of look like for you when you're having those conversations with women?
It's a lot of feelings. I feel like it's almost like people like to say the stages of grief.
Mhm.
It's a lot. Maybe we're in despair, but then we're in anger, and then we're not accepting or disbelief until we finally get to the stage of like, okay, like this is what it is, but I'm not happy about it. Those
Mhm.
conversations are usually pretty raw, and it really just depends too on that because if we've been talking about the relationship for a while and we've mentioned like, hey, those were kind of red flags. I feel like I have a lot of talk of boundaries because
Mhm.
then I have to go into gentle confrontation if we saw it
Okay.
coming. Where I'm just like, well, along the way, we had questions. Why were you willing to violate your boundaries to compromise just to have this person here?
As women, we do that a lot,
Yeah.
excusing things away, right?
Yep.
It's like, okay, something comes up just very lightly. I'll talk very specifically because about a month ago, I had
Yeah.
matched with a man coming out of a 13-year relationship slash marriage, 7 months. And, of course, right away, he's just like, I know you're probably thinking like run. And I was like, oh, he's like, but I've taken this time by myself to be celibate, to be all these things, do some work, therapy, whatever. So I was like, okay. And I was like, people can be very intentional with their healing.
Yeah, they can.
And so, yeah, maybe that 7 months you've just done enough work that you're ready. He was not ready,
Mm.
but there was the little things, I guess, along the way where it's like, I guess maybe somebody else reading all of that, but it'd be like 13 years and you guys still haven't done all the things, sold the house, this, and this. You have all these things to do.
Woo. Yeah. Hmm.
Hey, okay. As soon as you say that, you're like, so it's like in your mind, you're like, those are red flags, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because those are such big commitments you made with that person. Got a house with them. You still got to deal with all of that. You're still going to have to face that reoccurring emotional type of wound. And for a fresh relationship coming into that, that's intimidating. It
Okay.
doesn't feel secure enough.
Okay. And so in my mind, I was just like, okay, no, maybe it'll be okay. You just communicate with me, always tell me. But it was a roller coaster. It's
Yeah.
it's now paused slash permanently potentially ended because obviously as these things came up, the selling of the house, all this, it got very emotional for him and
Yeah.
became heavy.
Yeah.
So, what is that? Why do we do that? Why are we kind of like trying to, I don't want to say justify, but like ignore these things of like these things that like, I mean, the look on your face as soon as I said that just told me, okay, well, I'm the idiot there. That just kind of like, but like, why do we do that?
Yeah,
What
but I'm like,
is that?
it's because we want it so badly, especially when we see like a man that takes like intentional movements
Yeah.
on their healing. That excites us. That's like, oh my gosh, you really care about yourself. You're in tune with yourself. Like you know yourself. Awesome. So I'm not going to be with somebody who's emotionally unavailable. We're so used to somebody emotionally being unavailable to us, and for when we get that one that's like, yeah, these are my feelings and this is what I'm going through. We automatically like big green flag, whatever. Everything else is just, we're just dealing with it. He's just moving through it. And then we just want to be that savior. It's like, okay, it didn't work with your ex. I'm here to be your comfort space while you're going through this. I can champion with you. And it's like, no, Boo, no, like absolutely not. It's like it's wonderful he's on his healing journey. But sometimes we got to be able to discern when somebody needs to continue that journey and we can't be by their side. Because 13 years is a wild time. I'm like, man, that's a lot of years you were with somebody. And I'm already thinking, like, did you grieve enough? Was 7 months really truly enough for you to grieve 13 years?
Mm,
Of memories. You guys haven't sold the house yet. You still are tied to each other and other legal things that have emotions behind it. Where are you going to have space for me, for us? I just don't see it happening.
you're right, and he didn't. And it's funny because, like, now, like, thinking back, it was, like, very early on. Yes, there was,
Mhm.
like, the inquiry of questions about my life and little things,
Yeah.
but it's like as soon as we got past that, it did very much so feel like most of it was just his stuff,
Hmm.
what he was going through. Aside from, like, like, "How was your day?" But it
Yeah.
just felt like there was really no depth about my side of anything.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wanting to get to know you more, like
yeah,
who you are outside of like, yeah, we're attracted to each other, but who is Sarah
yeah,
the person? What does she
yeah.
love to do? What are you into? What are you trying to get into? Like just wanting to be interested in your life.
Yeah, 'cause I think everything he was going through very much so overshadowed
Yep.
everything. Okay, so cool. I ran straight into that red flag, so that's great to know.
It's okay.
I know, like, I
That's
giving
it.
myself, like, grace, but I'm like it was just yeah, it was just like because and, like, I was thinking that, I was like, "Oh, no, 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 okay," but you're right. It was like, I feel like there's such a lack of emotionally available men or men
Yes.
who are into personal growth and development in a way of discovering what
Yeah.
their emotions are in general, being able to talk about them, that you're right. As soon as this, like, a man was, like, talking about this, I was like, "Oh, this is so sexy."
Yep.
Whereas some of my girlfriends were like, "That's feminine as fuck, he's a pussy." And I'm like, "No, he's not." I'm like, "It's so hot that he's talking," but they're like, "Is it? Is it?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah," because, like, to me, I'm like, "Well, then he's open. There's no communication
Yeah,
breakdown. I know
exactly.
everything you're thinking, and I know everything you're feeling at all times." I'm like, "I like this." But obviously coming from a place where most men don't do that, and I'm like, "I don't know what you're thinking, I don't know what you're feeling, and I'm confused, and now I'm insecure," where I'm like, "I know everything you're thinking and feeling at all times." But yeah, my girlfriends on the outside were like, "No, no, dude, like, he's a giant pussy." And I'm like, "Yeah, but he's 6'3." Like, so it's like, it's like that whole thing. I'm like, "But he's tall as fuck." So it's okay if he's super emotional because he's tall and he's hot. And I was like, "We got this," right?
And your friends are like, "We do not got this."
Yeah, no, they're like, "No, no, you don't. That's gonna blow up in your face." So yeah, and not to say blew up in my face. There was a very serious conversation around the
Yeah,
fact that he had still had a lot to process and go through. And I can absolutely hold space and love and kindness for anybody going through it.
yeah,
I've been through divorce. I get it. But it's funny that like as women, we want the tall man. We want the man
yeah,
that's in shape. We want the guy that is emotionally available. We want the guy that is on some sort of a journey, maybe not healing
yes.
from like 13 years of a marriage and not
Yeah,
quite ready, but you're on a journey of at least being present and aware of your emotions and your feelings
mhm.
and emotional intimacy and connection and all of these things. But like, I don't know, it just seems like that is like a very rare recipe.
It does feel rare because then men are typically dealing with toxic masculinity. You can't share all that. You're going to run women away because they're not going to think we can lead them, which kind of like your friends are reinforcing that thinking like, no, he's a pussy or whatnot. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. But then I have guys that I see individually who have been in relationships for maybe 20 years or so with their girlfriends and are just now opening up with them
Mm,
about what's going on. I think that's even wild in itself. I'm like, what? I could be with you for all this time and still not know you. I feel like that's more scary than someone who's just, emotionally dumping on me. At least I can see where you're at. Like you mentioned,
totally.
I can see it. I know what you're thinking. I rather know and I can kind of go away with that and just like, okay, it wasn't for me. Instead of me thinking you got it all together and you kind of
Mm,
fooled me, or I just feel like I only know what you want me to know. That's anxiety provoking, honestly. I'm just like,
it is.
are you okay? I don't know how to make you better. I don't know how to comfort
Yeah.
you during these times. Like, it kind of makes your role as a girlfriend or a wife or whatnot harder.
I don't wanna have to guess. I have
That,
enough things to do. on my day-to-day life for work,
Yes.
being a mom, all these things. I don't want to have to guess what somebody's thinking, what somebody's feeling. And I mean, maybe that's like the simple part of me where it's kind of like, I think like sometimes guys are like, well, she didn't say anything was wrong. How was I supposed to know? I just thought everything was okay. And I'm kind of
Yeah.
like that. It's like, just because we didn't talk all day, I don't assume something's wrong. I assume you're
Yeah.
busy. So unless you tell me something's wrong, I'm going to assume everything is okay. Right? And
Yeah.
I want that peace of mind. So I need somebody who's going to show up and speak up when something comes up, not because I had to get it out of you, not because I had to analyze a text message that felt like it was different from the text message 18
Yes.
hours ago. Just if we got to talk, we got to talk, but you got to tell me we got to talk. And I need to know that there's something to talk about versus me having to try to guess and assume. Otherwise, I'm thinking, cool, the plans that we made for this weekend, they're still on. Nothing's changing
Yep.
because nothing happened.
It's so exhausting though. It's mentally and
Yeah.
emotionally exhausting to have to guess, to
Yeah.
have to bring out something out of somebody. I'm like, it just shouldn't be this hard. It's one thing to say, like, all I know is that I'm feeling kind of frustrated right now. I don't
Hmm.
know how to put it into more words. When I do, I can tell
Yeah.
you more. I just know I'm frustrated. I can take that over you pretending something is good because I can feel the awkwardness. It's like
Yeah.
a awkward tension just out of nowhere. Like, are you okay? You might as well not say yes because it's weird. I,
Yes.
why do that? It really dampens the mood anyways, because now we're supposed to have this great day, but now I don't want to because clearly something's wrong with you and you're lying to yourself and to me that nothing is.
Exactly. It's not fair, I think,
Yeah.
to both parties in the relationship if that's kind of where the communication level is at,
Yeah.
or the disconnect that like you don't feel safe enough that you can communicate those things and have that conversation. And I think that men and women both need to feel safe knowing that like you can express these things and there is no judgment and it's not going to turn into a big fight or all the ways that it can kind of go, but like being able to navigate that together, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the vulnerability always at the that's going to strengthen relationships, whether platonic or romantically, or even with family.
Hmm.
It's trusting that despite that I've given you the ammo that could take me down. I trust that you're not going to use it against me.
Right.
That I'm going to be able to keep getting deeper with you, and you're going to uplift me. You're going to hold me accountable. You're going to be by my side, and you're going to choose me not only in good times but during my bad and ugly.
Yeah. Okay, so diving back into this whole the sisterhood, the woman stuff. So what
Yes.
is a situation or time in your life that you can recall that maybe you had one of your worst kind of breakups or going through a really low point that, your friends or a specific woman was there for you, and what did that look like and just the comfort that it gave you?
I
Mhm.
would say for the relationship that I was in for 4 years, like I had two really good, well, three best friends, and they were all in different phases of my life. So I got different advice. One of my best friends is my ex cousin, is my ex's cousin. And the one was in high school with me when I was dating him all the way into college. And then the one I met in college. So that breakup was very strange for me, though they all gave me the comfort that it was. His cousin was also going through some stuff. So we're in our both heartbroken selves trying to uplift each other, trying to be like, no, it must
Mhm.
mean something. There's a sign, there's a greater purpose here, saying that to each other. And of course, that was comforting because I'm like, I have someone here who's going through pretty much the same. And for some crazy reason, thank God we're out of that now. We had this whole, you got to go through it, all these sacrifices and hurt to reap the reward type of mindset. And the other friend that was in high school with us who knew the guy too and has gone on double dates and stuff with us was like, no, I feel like you guys belong to each other. Like this is supposed to be true love. Like you guys are meant for each other. I've seen the way
Mhm.
you guys look at each other, like filling my head. And then my friend from college was just like, no, you're not happy, you're sad, you're depressed, like you're not your bubbly self as you usually are. This doesn't seem like it's good. And she was probably out of the three of them who just hated him. The
Mm.
other two were like, oh, I mean, yeah, well, because I got to see you how you guys were together. And she didn't get to see too much of it. But
Mhm.
like, still, like, she knew me enough where she was just like, well, yeah, I've seen you guys together. But like, look at the way it's making you, like, you're crumbling. And
Mm.
she was right. It was the first time I've ever considered like I had suicidal ideations. It was like super crazy stuff where I was like, oh my God, if I get hurt, it will force him to come see me in the hospital. Just some cuckoo cuckoo stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, you're so right. Though each of those gave me comfort, the real comfort I needed was to be like, Shay, stand up and love yourself. Like,
Mhm.
Shay, get up and love yourself. Like, put yourself first. Like, I'll support you whichever way you go. If you still want to pursue him, talk to him or whatnot, this is your life. Because she knew just saying, like, oh, just forget him wasn't going to work. So she didn't give me the
Yeah.
just break up with him, dump him speech. Because she knew I needed a bit more conviction, a little bit more like, you know what? Do what your heart feels for you to do. I support that. But
Mhm.
just know I always feel you should put yourself first. And I thank her for that, for giving me the space to kind of make a mistake on my own, but also still giving me the reoccurring message of love yourself. Whereas
Right.
my other friends were not in that same area of life where one still needed to learn to love themselves. Well, both of them honestly actually needed to learn to love themselves because they were in unsatisfied relationships
Right.
themselves. It's really important for us to have more than just one bestie. I feel it definitely helps kind of build our worlds in perspective
Yeah.
and kind of the choose your own adventure stuff. Like it gives us more paths to choose from.
Yeah. I guess and that different perspective, right? And I feel like what you kinda said is, like, they all play a different role in your
Yes.
life,
Hmm.
and they all have different strengths in different ways, and, it's funny, I mentioned this to actually specifically to that guy that, wasn't
Hmm.
ready about love languages even in friendships,
Yes.
and it's crazy because so, like, my love language in general, my 2 are quality time and physical touch.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yes.
what means the most for me that I get out of my friends is when they spend time with me and we hang out. And,
Yeah.
that's how I feel loved and my cup is full even from them. And I have a girlfriend who lives fairly close to me. Her love language is more so acts of service and cooking. So
Okay.
when I go over there quite a bit and I always make sure she gives me a 7-second hug before I leave so I get my physical touch, but she cooks
Yes.
for me multiple times a week because that's how she shows me that she loves me. And it's funny because acts of service isn't really a big love language of mine. However, because I know that it's hers, I have to remind myself sometimes that when she's asking me if I can stop and grab something for her or run a quick errand for her, I'm like, even though I'm like, I don't want to go do this, and I'm like, but she shows up and loves me how I need. I'm like, so I got to
Yep.
do these things sometimes so that she's still feeling loved in that way. And that's how it's like I've noticed it was just in general, where it's like supporting women through each other. It's like, how does that person need me to show up right now for them
Yeah.
while they're going through what they're going through? What is it that I can give to them? What is it that I can do for them? To make them feel loved and supported through a hard time. And I think the biggest challenge that I find for myself personally is I think as women, we truly genuinely love our girlfriends and
Yeah.
we care about them on such a deep level that when you're watching them go through something
Yeah.
painful and watching a man treat them a certain way, it's like
Yeah.
I personally I take it on
Yeah.
so heavy and I get angry and I get mad and I get almost mad at them where it's like how are you allowing this person to do this to you? And how are you allowing this person to make you feel this way? Because it's like,
Yeah.
if you loved yourself as much as I love you, and if you
Yeah.
cared about yourself as much as what I genuinely care about you as a
Yeah.
friend, you wouldn't allow this, right? But it's that whole trying to have them see the value in themselves and the worth that they have. That, like, obviously, in those situations and circumstances, sometimes as a
Yeah.
woman, when we're caught up in it, it's so hard for us to view ourselves like that. And then when you're caught in something so negative, it's like we get it in our head that maybe it was our fault, that we're the ones doing it. But
Yeah.
where that
Yeah.
circle of women around you that can just pour into you in so many different ways that you need to be like going through is so valuable, you
I just
know?
love that you said that. It was like loving our friends in their love language because I feel like so many people just don't get that, whether
No.
romantically or platonically, that we have to
Yeah.
love people in the way they give love. Because that's
Yeah.
the only way they really know how to receive or to
Mhm.
actually feel like it. Or and then like you mentioned, there's really only a fine line between the love you have for a friend and the love you have for a partner. It's just
Totally.
one of them is just like, I'm just not romantically.
Mhm.
attracted to you. That's
Yeah.
about it. I just don't have romantic or maybe even any sexual attraction to you. It's literally the eroticism is just not there. The only
Right.
difference between us not being partners, because it genuinely is another relationship. Like you said, like, I wish you could see yourself the way I see you. I have told friends that.
Right.
I have said
Yeah.
that while being like,
Yeah.
wow, like you said, I take this so personally because it's a tragedy to see you not see the way that I see you, how bright you are, a bubbly or sweet or caring or strong or whatnot. It's like you just lose all of that. And that's painful to watch you. It's like, usually I'm like, okay, at first I'm like, okay, well, you are beautiful, you got this, and it's not your
Mhm.
fault. But sometime along the way, the longer you stay in it, I'm like, this is your fault because why do you keep sacrificing you? What makes this person so much more important than the love for yourself? I even have that with, yeah, with girl clients, like even like my teenagers. It's like, oh, start young, start here now, because you learn that so early on, like, oh, I have to be the prettiest, I have to be the best, I have to do this and do that. And you'll still have one, at least one or two that's like, I don't think you need to do all that. Why do you have to change yourself to get his
Yeah.
attention? I don't understand. And sometimes it feels like we need to lean into listening to that friend a little bit more to just be curious about ourselves. Like, but why do we do that? But yeah,
Yeah.
it's so personal because we're in a relationship with our girlfriends. We are. We're it's like, I'm in this relationship with you, even though we like joke about it. Like, nah, if you dating her, you dating me because I'm there too. It kind of has a little
Totally.
truth in it because I promise you, I'm gonna know facts about you that I know you said you didn't want her to tell me, but we're best friends. I'm her safe space. She's gonna tell me because it's not like I'm gonna go tell the world.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know things about you that you don't know about you. Like, sir, we're in a relationship too.
Totally. And women need that. I feel like we
Hmm.
need that option to be able to confide in other
Yeah.
women about our experiences and our things that we're going through, our insecurities, all of
Yeah.
this. And see, and that's the thing is like, I have friends that like the way that I view them is of these like absolutely beautiful women and they move through life just looking so effortlessly all the time and all these things. And then it's just like, unless you actually can have those raw conversations with your friends, you don't realize that they're struggling with the same insecurities and the
Yes.
same doubts and the same fears and the same everything else that is going through your mind. They
Yeah.
are as well. And to be able to have those conversations and know that you're not crazy and you're not
Yeah.
alone, that in
Yeah.
itself is so much more empowering when the big things happen, knowing that you guys can talk about everything because they're not judging you,
Yeah.
because you're not judging them for being human and for being a woman. And, for having all of these thoughts and these feelings that sometimes are so confusing and overwhelming. And if you don't
Yes.
have people that you can speak to about it, other women that want to see you succeed and want to see you happy, I mean, I don't know what the fuck we would do with them,
Yeah,
you
we
know?
go crazy. We
Yeah.
would literally go crazy. We'd be stuck with our own thoughts, stuck in just our decision making. I mean, I even tell people all the time, like, even the king had advisors. The
Mhm.
king had a
Yep.
council. So if
Yeah.
somebody, I was like, whether whatever in highest government in any type of culture or whatever it may be, they
Mhm.
always have a council. So it's crazy
Yeah.
for us to even think that we as women wouldn't have that same thing. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I trust the decision that we have in our relationship or whatnot, but sometimes I got a soundboard with people outside of the relationship that maybe see some things that I don't see because I'm knee deep in it. Biases are
Yeah.
here. It is what it is. We definitely need those non-judgmental moments to just talk about anything and everything, no filter, just get it all out there and be like, okay, cool, this was a good session. I already know what to do.
Yeah. No, it's so true, right? And like I think sometimes men can be intimidated by that in itself, knowing that like women kind of have this little like network of people that are there cuz it's like you're going to go tell your friends all these things. They're going to know this, then they're going to come over and I have to pretend like they don't know everything. I mean, literally from like dick size to emotions to the things you said that hurt my feelings, all of it, right? It's like I just think, and I mean, I don't know, maybe some men have that with their male friends, although I don't think quite the same. But
Yeah, it's a little tiny bit different. I've seen my little brother's chat. I've seen the WhatsApp. I've seen how they all talk,
yeah,
and I'm like, y'all can keep that. That's so.
yeah,
This is very detailed. They're detailed in different ways.
yeah, that's fair. I'll keep what I have, and it's funny because
Yeah,
I always say to my girlfriends, like, I have my family, but then you guys are my chosen family. You
Yeah.
guys are the women that I choose to have in my life that I know that you got me. Whether it's, going through something and all of a sudden it's just like, I need to come lay on your couch every day for 2 hours and just not talk, but just be there because I need you to be there for me because I don't want to be alone. It's like there's a piece of home in that, right?
Yeah,
And comfort that knowing that as women, we can just do that for each other. No
exactly.
expectation, no
Hmm.
rules, no, you have to show up better than what you actually have. It's like just show up as you are, what you have to give, and let me kind of do the rest, right?
Yes. That's
Yeah.
all we ever really need is just a place to be us. Just
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
that looks like in our most despair or broken or whatever, because we grew up in a society where we're told we have to keep it together, we have to be perfect porcelain dolls and just beautiful and don't think too
Mhm.
much about it, just follow whatever's told to you.
Yeah.
But what we yearn for most is to be loved for our chaotic side that we're told we should just keep away from the world, and to
Yeah.
have that be seen, which is like, yeah, it is important we're girlfriends because we all go through that societal like expectation, and it's like,
Mhm.
girl, I'm just tired. I just want to tell the world, fuck it and burn. And
Yeah.
can I just like rot for about, like you said, 2 hours? And it's like, girl, yes, I wanted to do that to a coworker down the hall from me. I feel that. Come on.
Mhm. Yeah.
Let's rot together. Let's go watch a I don't know, a Disney movie together. Let's go play a game where we're just fighting people and shooting people up. I don't know, whatever. But just so you see me where I am right now and I don't have to mask. I could
Mhm.
just be. It's
Yeah.
so important to just be.
Yeah. And I really want to emphasis on the fact that I feel like there is no age limit to that. I think sometimes people like
None.
you have it as like your young girlfriend, you're 16, you're 22, you're doing all these things together. And then it's like you get older and you get married and you have kids, and then people get busy. I'm 44 years old and I have a tighter, bigger group of solid girlfriends now, more so than I think I did when I was younger, that
Yeah.
I still feel like we're 15 when we're together. And I couldn't imagine being 60 or 70 or 80 without having these women in my life to like
Yeah.
to do life with, to laugh with, to cry with, to travel with, to anything with. It's like that dynamic of that friendship, I think,
Yes.
is almost just everything. And I've said this to a few of my friends. Sometimes I get like a little bit like crabby at them when they get like a new boyfriend and all of a sudden you don't see them as much. I'm like,
Yes.
you
How dare you
don't,
change our dynamic?
right? I'm like, I don't. You guys are my boyfriends. Like, you guys are my people. You guys are the people that I do everything, everyday things with, that I call, that I this. Like, that's your guys' role in my life. But even if
Yeah.
I had a partner, they would still fill that role where it's like, I feel like everybody just comes together. But I can't imagine being able to move through life without them. And I feel like
Yeah.
knowing that I have them, if I don't have a relationship, I will always be okay because they fill my cup in so many other ways. And then I fill my own cup by that portion, like we talked about loving
Yeah.
yourself, right?
Exactly. I love that. And but that's the important things about like such mature friendship, like actual real friendships, they move through the phases with you.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, I can be mad at you for a little bit that you got a new boyfriend and that your time's gonna be occupied. Like, oh, this just really sucks. Like, not mad
Yeah.
at you, just mad at some of the changes. But we're creatures of change anyways. Adaptation is just what we have to go through. And then we get involved in their life anyways again. When they're telling us when he's messing up or when he does amazing or
Hmm.
whatever. Like we're still involved after the nice honeymoon starts to wear off. Then it's like, girl, oh, eye emoji, shift
Yeah.
eye. Like, what he do?
Yeah.
So just going through the phases, going through it with each other, just being there for each other at each stage.
It really is. There's so much value in that. It truly is beautiful. I do find women's relationships and friendships to be one of those things that is just truly beautiful for the depth that it goes, right?
Yes. And like
Yeah.
you mentioned, like just all stage, like even ages. Like I do have like friends that are in their 40s while I feel like it's so weird to be considered the youngest at 34. It's a strange thing for me. But I do have like friends that are 45 or 44, or like you
Mhm.
mentioned, who have been divorced, who have kids, older kids, and I'm like, crazy. I could be like their aunt. But I love those friendships a lot because it feels like I'm in like wise women council. It's so
Right.
real. It's so unfiltered. It's just so beautiful. But they're also like another part who are like my largest cheerleaders that are like, no, Shay, step out. It only gets better the more courage you have for yourself. Keep going, whether that's in a
Mhm.
relationship, career, anything you want to do, you can do it. And it's just, I feel like it's so important. Like, yes, have people like around your age, but then like mix the ages a bit because
Yeah.
everybody's experience is so valuable in a friendship. It offers such new light, such new insight for yourself. Like, I just adore it. One of my sorority sisters was like, oh, Shay, like, you're going to love your 30s when I was just turning 30 and stuff like that. And then she was like, but it gets even better at 40. The libido just gets better. And I was just like, Miss Ma'am, yes. I
That's
love it.
funny. That's such a good way to actually think of it in general too, just like having the friendships at the different stages, because you do get so much more perspective and wisdom, with some of the older ones, and then even some of the younger ones for like
Yep,
knowing kind of like what they're going through and the
exactly.
conversations and be able to like pass that on to them, right? Because
Yes.
I think that's the one thing that, if any, and for all the young girls that are potentially listening, is like just truly knowing that everything that you're going through at those younger ages, as important and as huge as it seems then, as you get older, you realize how much it really didn't matter,
Yes.
and to really just figure out who you are and then to authentically move through life as that version of yourself that you want
Yes.
to be, not the version of yourself that you think you have to be, right?
Yes.
But the version that just truly lights you up for who you are, whatever that looks like, and to never fucking apologize for it.
Yes. I
Oh,
love it. I'm like, just be unapologetically you. Yes.
yes.
It's
Yeah.
so great. I tell you, like, it's funny with my high schoolers because, of course, I remember being that dramatic.
Yeah.
And just like,
Yeah.
it's like, I just like you mentioned, like, it'll be such a small blip in your life. Those 4 years mean honestly absolutely nothing except for the fact that, yeah, I did go to high school. Yeah, I went there.
Yeah.
And that's about it. I was like, you're not going to think about that guy that dragged you through that dragged you through the mud, or that girl who told you about a rumor about yourself. Like, you're going to forget them because more pressing things are going to happen. Same thing in
Totally.
your 20s, like you mentioned, like even for having just an older friend that it feels like an older sister, mentor, whatever you need. Because during that time, I feel like we're lost in the sauce our early 20s. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Totally.
It is a lost in the sauce moment until about 25, 26, when you're kind of like, I think there's a light coming out, but it's trash. And I wish I had more older friends actually at that time, instead of all my friends, we're like in the mud together, just like, girl, where do we go? I feel lost. Where's the flashlight? I don't know. I thought you had it.
Yeah, it's so true. You do kind of like look at those moments, and I mean, like the pure joy and entertainment and the memories that you have with your friends creating some of those things. It's those like truly are beautiful and they carry you so
Yeah.
far, right? But yeah, no, they're amazing. Oh, I love that. Oh, Shay, thank you so much. This has been such a fun conversation. Absolutely love you having. I mean, I feel like we kind of touched on so many different things,
Yeah.
but I love it, and I just think, like, all of it is so valuable, and yeah, thank you so much for, coming on and, like, having this fun conversation. Last question for you, for everybody listening, what is one thing that you would just like to share with everybody, women specifically, that you
Yeah.
could share with them that you would want them to know?
Really just never give up on you. Be weird,
Mhm,
accept all your weirdness, all your awkwardness, all your uniqueness. It's such a strength because your true people, whoever needs to be in your life, will flock to you naturally. When you accept you, others accept you. And
mhm,
don't not everybody, but just know we're not meant to be everybody's cup of tea. Everybody can't ride your ride. You're not
mhm.
meant to be accessible to everybody. That's a strength. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
That's so true. I love that. I love how you said that. That's one of my favorite things, like, when people talk about that is, like, just be weird, be whatever, be everything and
Yeah.
anything. And yes, the people who are not meant to be in your life, let them fuck right off. And it just opens
Yes.
up more space for the cool, amazing other weird
Yes.
people to be there for you.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has
Thanks,
been
Sarah.
fun.